Okay, so if you read that whole big blech, blech, blech on my blog, you should be looking at this code in your Visual Studio. In case it wasn't clear, you need to add the Aeon eAPI DLL in by going right-clicking up Blinky, go add existing item, and then pointing it towards that Aeon eAPI DLL. In the bottom here, set your copy to output directory always, okay? Because otherwise it doesn't copy it into your directory when you create it. From the original DO program in the main code, which is Aeon DIO blah 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 blah, and over there you need to copy and paste these DLL imports in here. I've got them all imported. It doesn't change the size of the code too much. And then from the eapi.cs in the DO program, you need to copy all the inserts. I've removed the comments about what they are. I can always go back and refer to them at a later stage, and the board hardware and the GPIO. Now, of course, you don't need to insert all of this if you're not using it. Only insert what you need. At this point in time, I don't know what I need, so I'm just putting it all in there. My own variables that I created were the UINs to denote high, low, input and output, and they're all nicely hidden away inside the region wrappers, so they're not in my way. Another little wrapper is around the helper code that I wrote, which is enable SDIO, which will turn on the SDIO, and if there's an error, it will report it in the status text area. Set pin direction, get pin direction, set pin state, and get pin state. Okay, so those are just the little helper functions, which basically just adds a few more commands for me. Where those commands are used is there's one button in the main form. So let's go to the main form. This button, which is the start button, there's a number slider, a number clicker that goes through the numbers, and you have a LED blinker, which is just a panel. I inserted a panel and set its background property to red and black as the flash goes. I put a little text box in there for the status, and then just some labels. So going back to the code, what it will do is once the user clicks that start click button, it will read from the first number clicker and convert it to an integer which pin we were working with, what the speed of the delay was working with from the second one, and then the repeat value from the third one. It will then call our void, which we've set up to called blink pin, which will blink pin number at this speed for so many iterations. So that's this over here. Now the reason I've called it separately is because I'm using the task delay time span to run this, and you may be running a lot of other stuff and you don't want your whole system waiting because you've got something blinking. So I've made it an async program, and I've used the await task delay. So what happens is, while this is executing, each time this executes for the delay period, other code can keep running on your system, right? So that's the only reason that's written separately. Otherwise, you could have just written this in the top over here. I have in the past run into problems using task delay without an async method, which caused a lot of timing issues for me in my camera application. So that's just what I need for my code. So in reality, once you've inserted these helpers and you've inserted all those variables and code over there, the program is fairly short. You have two pieces of code: the user clicking the start button and blink pin, which blinks the pin. So that's compiled happily. You can see down the bottom here, it succeeded. And interim, I've copied it over to the app, which I'm looking at a remote desktop connection now. There's the app over there. Now, if anybody can tell me how they are fitting their boards to the back of their machines, I'd be happy to hear from you, because I'm just using at the moment a sticky Velcro, one stuck on here and one stuck on there, and I'm Velcroing the board to the back of it. As you can tell, it has a peculiar lean angle. Anyhow, what we're after is looking at this pin over here. I'll move that there if I can, and this is the code I've just copied over. As you can tell, it looks like a lot of code, but the actual executable is tiny, 17 kilobyte, with the Aeon API DLL in there, bringing it up to roughly 1.8 meg or something. All right, so let's run it. So when you first run it, you're sitting looking at 11111. So I've got that pin stuck on pin 11. I don't know if you can see it over there. So that's the yellow cable's on 11, and the green cable is over to the ground. And so I'm going to put in 11 over there. I've set this up down to not go high, not go lower than 1 and not go higher than 40. The flash delay in milliseconds, I don't know, let's set it 250 milliseconds. And how many repeats? I don't know how many repeats you want. 1,000. I might be waiting for it for 1,000. I'll set it to 300. And as you can tell, when the program initialized, the library was good. Okay, so it loaded the library, there was no problem. If the library did not load, this would be saying library bad, and your start button would be grayed out. All right, so anyway, click start, and as you can tell, we have a 1/4 of a second delay. It's working, and you can see the status code coming back over there. There's no errors, otherwise you would see them in between if there were errors. So let's close that, start it up again, and use a faster delay. Should actually add a stop button to that, I guess. Let's go 50 milliseconds, 500 repeats. Okay. The reason it looks like it's stuttering is the refresh rate of my camera and the blinking of the pins. Obviously, there's a bit of a glitch in between the two of those. So let's stop that and set it either faster or slower and have a look. Let's set it to 25 milliseconds and 1,000 repeats. Okay, so now as you can tell, I don't know what the refresh rate of this video is. This is blinking super fast. That in the video doesn't look like it's moving, but visually when I look at it by eye, it's actually blinking very quickly, but it's not showing up in the video. So what I might do is set that slower and let's go again, just so you can see it actually blinking. Let's call it 1 second in between and 20 repeats. Okay, so the code works, it runs, everything's happening. I'm ready to move on to other projects now that Mr. Blinky is done. Thank you for reading the blog. If you have any comments, just leave them in there and I'll see if I can figure it out.